Hey, welcome back. So, just when you think it's time to have a bit of fun on the modification-y, kind of cosmetic-y, chopperoo kind of styley, a bit of maintenance rears its ugly head, and yeah, car Bonnie. I've noticed the past sort of week or so riding that when I'm in the third gear or so, getting higher up the rev range, give it a full bit of beans, I'm getting a bit of clutch slippage. Well, quite a bit of clutch slipping actually. Even I've tried messing around with the clutch cable just to see if I can tidy it up that way. Obviously I changed the bars a while back, but it was fine. It's just started doing it now. So yeah, I've kind of adjusted the clutch to the point where it's not particularly usable even, and that has it just either way it just hasn't really either tightened it up or slacking it off loads. It's not really changing things, so I'm pretty sure maybe the clutch plates are in dire need of a change. I mean, the bike's got 31,000 miles on it, so that's kind of not quite the mileage I would have expected to have got before the clutch needs changing, particularly as this type of bike is not really thrashed and raced and zoomed around. So it's possibly a little bit premature, but not ridiculous, whether or not, I mean, I've got no idea, I haven't dynoed the bike, but whether a little bit more boost in power has made it more noticeable, I don't know, it could be anything, but that's where we're at. It's fun. I've never changed the clutch plates on at Bonneville, so with 3 in the family it's probably worth starting somewhere. So yeah, we're going to go on that one. So as you can see, I've already kind of moved a lot of stuff out of the way. There's a few other odds and sods I'll probably do as I'm going along now, while the bike's laid up a little bit. The first thing is drain the oil. A little bit of a shame, I've probably got about over 1,000 miles on it since the last oil change. I mean, I racked that up fairly quickly just on the commutes to work, even with the other bike. Yeah, it'd be nice to have pushed nearer 3,000 miles out of it before having to change the oil, but hey ho, ain't going to do it any harm. I like to change my oil about every 3,000 miles or so, and yeah, it's all good. And it's like, I think, 23 quid from M&P for oil and filter. I have read people, you can lean the bike right over to change the clutch and get inside here to not lose oil and stuff, but I can't be asked for that. It's going to take me a few days. I need the bike up on the lift so I can move it in and out of the way to get the other bikes in and out. Yeah, so anyway, enough waffling. Oil's obviously drained out of the bike now, so yeah, we're ready just to take this off. So the first thing I do is obviously take the clutch cable off, release it from this point, and start undoing the bolts. Okay, so first thing, I've just undone the adjuster nut there and then wound the cable into the bar there just to give us as much slack at this end, and then we're going to get down this end, just undo the lock nut and the adjuster nut so we can free this off, get it out of the way, and then yeah, that's a good starting point. Okay, so just going to need 2 12mm spanners. Slack. Pop the nipple out of the clutch arm. And that's that one out of the way. Right, let's get the gear pedal out of the way. So that's just pinch bolt there, slacken that off. I usually just take it off all the way because sometimes it still catches on the groove in the shaft. There is a punch mark on the shaft as well if you want to line them up, but sometimes I find it's a matter of preference where you like your gear shift pedal to be. Off. There we go, easy peasy. So now we just need to start undoing the 8mm bolts that are all around here. I think the bolts are that hold these on are only about 9 Newton meters, so you know, just wrist tight really. So it shouldn't be too hard to shouldn't be too hard to take off, but also worth bearing in mind for when you put it back on again. No need to over crank it. It'll be interesting to see. I know there are Triumph specific tools for getting the clutch basket out, which I don't have, so it'll be interesting to see that in the flesh and what I can do about it. I might have shot myself in the foot a little bit by having this up on here already. I might have to chock it up underneath with some stands and just get it really secure, because I reckon if it's turning I'm going to have to do a kind of lock up the back wheel a little bit, stick it in gear maybe, you know, just to try and get the nut off. I think there's a fairly big nut, something like a 22mm nut underneath the holding the clutch basket in, which is probably up pretty tight, something like, I think it's something like 109 Newton meters, but I'll double check that. But yeah. Incidentally, I've already pre-ordered the clutch plates, a new gasket. Possibly if this was a newer bike with less miles on, I might risk the gasket. No, I wouldn't. Nah, that's a lie. I'll always probably get another gasket in. I'm fairly sure this one is going to be past its best anyway. I reckon that's going to just half crumble off and half take me 3 hours to pick the rest of it off, but we'll see. Also, when I'm taking this off, I imagine there's going to be locating dowels, so it's probably worth reading the manual first, kids. I will do that when we get a bit more involved, but there's probably locating dowels in here, and I'm not sure if the bolts that hold on, whether sometimes, you know, you get the varying length ones or whether they're all the same, but I try and keep them kind of loosely in the right place. They'll probably fall out a little bit when I'm taking it all out, but just so I know where they all go initially. Okay, just having a quick look then in relation to if there's any different bolts. There's only 2 types of bolts on here, so the bottom row, starting from, I mean this is more for me if I forget by the time I come to put it back together again, but from this point at the bottom of the case, all of these along here up to the one just before the gear shift shaft are unshanked threaded ones that long, and then the rest are all shanked slightly longer ones that go along the top. So that's more for me just to know as well. But yeah, there's only 2 different lengths. The other thing is, I don't know how easily this is going to come off, so definitely not super easy to begin with. So I am going to remove all these now. Now I know that there's not too many variables, and then just tap round it with a rubber mallet just to kind of start loosening things up a bit. Starting to move. Okay, then you're going to want to remove your crankcase breather, because that's going to slide out as well. The old tap method works well for your valve cover as well, I always find. It feels like you're doing nothing, but then all of a sudden that'll just go. Oil going on the floor, lovely. Quite pleased I didn't do this in the kitchen. Straight off, I've just felt this is what it's worth going. There's this little wavy washer here, which is notorious for slipping off. So I'm just going to put that there safely for now. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with that one. So there we go, that's the inside. So that's where your crankcase breather bit, that just withdraws out. I'm assuming, oh yeah, there is an O-ring just there. So yeah, so that's the cover off, and that's the inner workings of that side. So I've got this gasket to see if that's going to come off nice and easily. It did crack there, so good job of spares on the go. Yeah, so there's our clutch basket. Oh, incidentally, that there is where our little wavy washer lived, but I am tempted, because that just sits on there, well, on that pin, whether I should put that in a slightly safer place if it's going to be getting moved around. Yeah, probably will. But this is the bad boy that we're going to be looking at largely. So yeah. So our clutch springs, well, these are the clutch plates, friction plates inside here, clutch basket, and these are your springs that are inside there. So all that will be getting changed. Okay, with that off then, so need to get the clutch plates and the springs and then the clutch plates out. So you've got 4 bolts here holding this kind of plate on, with a bearing in the middle, and the springs are just behind it. I'll show you that when it comes off. But it's worth noting, in the centre here is this little pin, or bung, or whatever you want to call it. And it's worth kind of noting how that, it just sits in there. But it's worth noting and getting an idea of how that feels moving around, in and out. Because when you come to tighten the new ones back down, this has to be kind of tightened spot on evenly all the way down. There is a tool you can get from Triumph that will assist with this apparently, but I haven't got that. So what I'm going to do, these are only torqued down to 9 Newton meters each, but it's very easy just to nip one and then make that a bit more difficult to get in and out. So that should be free all the time. So as you slowly tighten each one, just a little tiny bit each time evenly, you shouldn't get any problem with pulling that out. There should be no resistance. If it gets any resistance, then it's on the cock a little bit. So yeah, so from what I've read anyway, a lot of people seem to be able to do it by feel, so we'll have a go at that. But thought that's worth pointing out. So yeah, take this out, put that somewhere very safe as well in my little tub of bits, and then we'll whip that off. Okay, so it's a 10mm socket on there. Okay then, so let's get the last one out. 4 of those. That plate just comes off. There you go. So that looks like. Then you got your clutch springs here. And then once those come off, that's your big, I think it's 22, let me just find out for you. No, I think that's going to be bigger than 22, that's 22, so that's, yeah, it's a 30mm socket on this one. Okay, so with all this off, we need to remove this nut here, the 30mm nut. Now if I was to just try and turn it, the whole clutch turns, so obviously we need to keep this still. So I'm going to try and make something up to attach to the lugs
that I can use to hold whilst I turn it, because I haven't got the triangle. Okay, tool. So this is what I came up with, which is basically two of these sort of flat bar bits that come out of your toolbox, that you can slide down the front to lock them. I don't really use these in here, so they just sit in a box out of the way for useful moments. So drilled a hole in the end there, so they both bolted together. That's where they crossed over, and with the holes in the end, just an aluminium spacer on the end of that, bolt with the same thread size that goes into the lugs, and then that just tightened down like that, and then move that away. Same thing on that side. That kind of went on there, gave me enough room to get this socket in there to hold. However, just to show you that things don't always go as planned in here, this has not worked in the sense that I put on a tiny bit of pressure, not much at all, maybe as I was only holding on to 2 lugs, but this was one of them. Look at that. That has actually sheared off. That behind there is like the clutch pressure plate, which is like a circle with the 4 lugs on it. It's only aluminium, and I put hardly any welly on it, and that went. So that is a really fucking stupid mistake on my part. That's just impatience of trying to get this off, and that didn't work. I should have held it all evenly to take it off. Now then, the damage that has obviously rendered this clutch pressure plate useless. I'll show you it when it comes off, if we get it off. But I looked up quickly to see how much a new one of those is, if from off the Triumph World website. £132. Okay, so that just goes to show you can make some really good fuck ups when you're doing things like this. And I'm really annoyed at myself. I actually did that yesterday, and I'm just tired and impatient, and got home from work and just wanted to get this done, and look what happened. The irony in all this is that I didn't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money on the Triumph tools to do it, if I could help it. But I did find, for 20 quid, EBC do their own clutch tool, and I'd already ordered this. I had actually ordered it. It arrived this morning. If I'd waited a couple of hours, I wouldn't have done this. And then that just does the same, pretty much the same job in there. However, it's not all bad news. I did have a sort of a cold sweat when I saw the price. Went on eBay, and Sprint Manufacturing had a nearly new one removed off a low mileage Bonneville for £19.99. Buy it now, which I have done. But that set me back now. So once I've got this off, I'm going to have to wait. It's Saturday today. I'm going to have to wait a couple of days, probably before that comes, and before I can put this all back together. So, in short, I'm kicking myself. But hey ho, these things happen, and yeah, there you go. You win some, you lose some. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad. But yeah, now I need to just try and get this off anyway, and I'll use the correct tool. So we'll have a play around with that. Get it off, have a look at how much I've properly mullered the pressure plate behind there, at least get everything ready to reinstall the new plates and get rid of the gasket off here, which I imagine might be a long time picking and chipping away. Okay, so I've got it all set up now. One thing was interesting to notice, the hole here in the holding tool, I've got luckily three 30mm sockets. 2 of them wouldn't even fit in there. This one's got a bit of a shoulder on it, so I was able to put that on first, then the plate over the top, and then screw it all in. Without that, would have been slightly scuppered, actually, so that's worth knowing. So yeah, I've snugged all these down here, so you get to a point where, not over cranked, but when you turn it, it kind of doesn't move. It'll turn a little bit and then sort of stop, so you don't have to really kind of hang on to this bit, but it is incredibly strong, so I've stuck a bit of a breaker bar on the end. So let's put this down and see if I can get it off. Oh, and that is it's on tight, really tight. There we go. That's what I meant there with the so that broken off. Just take that off like that. Okay, worth noting on the nut there, you've got this shoulder on it which faces out. It's showing up on there. There we go, so that sits that way. Always handy to remember this kind of stuff. Little washer there. Look on the orientation. It's that one. You can see. I at least hope you can see. It's got an out written there, so that faces out. It's worth knowing. That bit out. You can see that, sheared that right off. What a twat. There we go, so that's our clutch plates. So with all that out, until I get my pressure plate, I can't reinstall the new ones. I'm going to soak the new clutch plates in oil as well. I'll just leave them in there overnight before I install them. So really it's just onto the tedious task of removing old
Right then, I thought I'd
gasket.
spare you the second job I had to do there, which was just removing all the traces of the old gasket from around there. Just a very monotonous and laborious job, which I do very carefully with a razor blade, making sure you don't gouge the mating surfaces on here. Just, yeah, very slowly shave it away, and then any bits of residue or stuck stuff, I spray a bit of carb cleaner onto a rag and soak it off, and that just seems to help lift it off a little bit. But there we go, we're ready to put the new clutch plates in as soon as I get my replacement pressure plate, because I'm a dick.
So what to do whilst I'm waiting for the pressure plate to arrive, I think I'm going to take this time, this opportunity that has been afforded to me whilst I'm in the shed, to have a play around with the sprocket cover. I've just got the stock sprocket cover on there, well, not the stock one for this bike, it's the one for a black engine Bonnie, so it's black, not chrome. I've sold the chrome one, and yeah, I'm just going to chop it up and just do something a bit different with it so it's not standard.
Yeah,
really.
not really much more interesting than that. I'm just using the Dremel and slowly cutting around, and yeah, give that a bit of a clean up, and we'll have a nice minimalist sprocket cover. There we go, all done. There it is in place. Much prefer that. A bit more open. Makes it easy to get to all these bits as well, which I like. Yeah. Happy with all the curves, and pleased I didn't mar up the paint as well. So easy. Bang! Right, 2 days later, and we have got a nice new clutch back pressure plate to replace this one, which I mullered. So there we go. That's nice. I'm happy about that. Right, I've brought out now the. I've gone for the EBC clutch kit.
it was cheaper than the standard Triumph one, and I mean, a lot of people recommend, is it the Barnet clutch, I think it is, with the green springs. This was not massively cheaper, I think it's about 20 or 30 quid cheaper than that, so yeah, I just went for this one. So we've got the heavy duty clutch spring set and new clutch plates. So what I need to do first, I brought I have to make sure now Jen doesn't see that, but brought out a bowl I can soak the clutch plates in, because they, I mean, normally I'd leave them overnight, but a few hours, it actually does say on here, I think, soaked in a few hours, for a few hours in fresh engine oil, just to get them, get the kind of, I don't know, was it cork, is it, I guess, on the material, get that like primed, get some oil soaking into that. And yeah, so what I'm going to do now is, because there is a difference, they're not all exactly the same, these clutch plates. I'm going to, that's the order that they went on the clutch, so I'm going to make sure that they match up, because these are just kind of loose in here. And then we've got each clutch plate, and then you get like this steel spacer in between as well. So yeah, so what I'm going to do first, that's how it all came off, so leave that as is as a reference, and then just pop these in here for a little while, get them soaking. Okay, so these are the old clutch plates, so that would have gone there, and then they all go on that way. And as you can see, the first and the last are different. That one only different in terms of colour. That's about the only different identifying marker I can get. That's just slightly darker. That one is a thinner amount of surface area on there. So that's that one. These have been soaking in the oil for a couple of hours, so I'm going to call them, they're done, ready to serve. Delicious. So I'm just going to lay those out and just have a look at their how they match up with those ones. Okay, and so that's the new ones. I can't actually see any distinguishing marks to mark out the last one. The first one is pretty much, yeah, same. It's a thinner material, got these little grooves cut out. The other 6 all seem to be exactly the same, so I'm gonna go on a guess that it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I can find no markings, no other differences on them. So oh, yep, just guess I'll load these up and see how we go. That one. Spacer. It's the one with all 4 lugs on it. Right, now the tricky bit is going to be trying to keep, because all this can move, try and keep these in line whilst I'm putting it back in there, because obviously there's only a certain way it's going to go. So yeah, that will probably be, that's where I think the Triumph tool, I think looking at it, looks like it holds it all together in one kind of lump, so makes it easier going in there. I wonder if there's somewhere I can use that EBC tool. I'll have a little look and then set up the camera in a better position.
Right, and so with the handle part of the clutch tool taken off, just bolted this on now, so hopefully that's going to hold all of that reasonably straight. Whilst I try and get it lined up and slid back into there, because of course all the plates and all these individual plates can move if they're not locked together. So incidentally, probably worth noting, I don't know if that's picking up, but can you see the steel plates in between here? Let's see if I can get my finger in. The steel plates in between the clutch plates here. See, the outermost one is slightly, is that picking up on the camera? Is slightly darker. So there is a orientation to the steel plates as well. I thought that was probably worth mentioning. But you can see by the edge of it that it's a shade darker. It's a relatively painless exercise. Possibly, I'm not going to take it off and try it without this little holding tool. I suspect that might be a bit more of a pain in the backside that I'd rather not do. So I mean, my advice so far would be is if you are going to do this, spend 20 quid on the little clutch tool. Right. So now I've got to, well, given the nature of this one, I'm going to have to take the tool off to get the washer and the nut. Well, I can get the washer and the nut on through this hole, but as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'll have to put my socket on before that goes on, if you remember. You remember, washer with the word out, facing out, and nut on with the shoulder facing out. Okay, so the tool's off, so just check that all turns freely. Yeah, that's good. Right, now we need to get the springs on. Oh. Right then, so springs are on, so this is the next bit where we haven't got the alignment tool, which pretty much just means that is sitting, I think, square, so that's where that little plug came in, so we need to make sure that comes out nice and evenly. So it's going to be a case of just popping that on and then very gradually, evenly tightening those down. Just snug them down, just do it slowly. The end torque setting for these is 9 Newton meters, so it's not an awful lot. But what you want to be doing is just checking that this moves in and out with no resistance until you hit 9 Newton meters, and then if you do tighten one and get a bit of resistance, just back it off and retighten. I call that smooth as pig shit. Basically just a very long winded process of I've just been doing crisscross pattern, quarter turns
I mean, snug them down until you just drop them below the lip, but yeah, while I look at it, you just as evenly as possible bring it all down. That seems to have done the trick. I haven't had to back anything off, so that seems to move beautifully smoothly. So let's get the gasket on and get the cover back on, fill it back up with oil.
Right then, so just to double check before you button everything back up and get your cover on and put your oil in. That's all torqued down correctly. Just a quick visual inspection. All the teeth are synced and meshed together. Nothing's jumped out and jumped a tooth whilst you've been leaning on it and stuff. Don't forget to make sure this little pin has stayed in, and the wavy washer. Don't forget your wavy washer. That can go back on there again. Right, I'm just going to smear gasket. Just a tiny little bit of gasket, like instant gasket stuff. More for the fact that just to help the new gasket just stick in place whilst we're fiddling the cover back on. And so there we go. Clutch all back together. Clutch cover on. Yeah, just taking it for a quick spin. Definitely with the heavier springs, it's definitely, you can notice there's definitely requires a little bit more pull on the lever, but otherwise yeah, sorted. So yeah, pretty chuffed. Happy with the new sprocket cover. Not slipping now in high gears. And yeah, the only other thing I did as well was just lop off about ½ an inch off the handlebars and bring them in. Just felt a bit too wide. I'd cut down the other handlebars as well on the other Bonneville, yeah, especially with the little bar end mirrors on, just seemed to be massively wide. So hopefully now I can get back to tinkering around, and well, next job is definitely finishing off the other Bonneville. I want to get that out and about on the road, but this one's roadworthy again now, so that's all good. Still got a few things planned for this, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.